St. Ignatius of Loyola, whom we all very well are familiar with, was born in 1491 in Spain, in the Loyola Castle, hence his name of Loyola. He led a worldly life in his youth. He became a soldier, and pursuing this military career actually led to his conversion, because in 1521, at the age of 30, he was wounded in battle, and during his recovery, he was touched by grace. As he lay in bed recovering from his wounds, he began to read the life of our Lord and the life of the saints, and he was moved with a desire to imitate the saints and to follow our Lord. And he began to do that. When he recovered, he gave his life entirely to God, went to Paris to study theology. He was ordained in Venice. And in 1540, he founded the Society of Jesus, the Jesuits, in order to promote the greater glory of God, in order to work for God and His Church as an organized society, as an army. He led this army, the Society of Jesus, until his death in 1556. Now, St. Ignatius is well known for leaving, he didn't leave many writings. He wrote letters, and those are very edifying, but his most famous book, we can say, are his spiritual exercises, which he left principally to his own followers, to the Jesuits of that time, as a help for them to grow, to train themselves in the love of God. St. Ignatius stressed obedience very much, and this obedience functioned only if there was love. He used to say that it's not difficult to obey the person that you love. And he demanded great obedience from his followers, from the Jesuits. Obedience for the sake of love of God. So he wanted to train them in this love of God, and the spiritual exercises were a help to that. And in the spiritual exercises, he gives us, among the many gems in there, one that we'll just consider today is his classification of people into three categories. Kind of when we reflect upon ourselves, we should try to, of course, have our goal in mind, and that is love of God, and a wholehearted love of God. But we should also know where we're departing from. And St. Ignatius says that there's three categories of people. He says that there's those people that when it comes to love of God, they have none. They love their attachments more than God, meaning they love creatures. They love the things of the world more than they love God, meaning that they habitually live in a state of sin. They don't really mind or care when something, some action, some person, some sinful behavior deprives them of the love of God, deprives them of His friendship. They simply don't worry about it. Until maybe at the hour of their death, they try to set things straight so as to not lose at least the eternal reward, so as not to suffer the punishments of their irresponsible behavior. And then there's the second category, those people who in life do try to love God, but without giving up their attachment. So they try to do both. They try to love God and the things that they're attached to, without really loving either one wholeheartedly. So these are the people that still in life prefer things sometimes to the love of God, who don't hesitate to commit a mortal sin when it's convenient because confession's not that hard. Or people who deliberately choose venial sins. Why? Because, the consequences aren't that serious. We're not going to go to hell for that. So these are people who by deliberate choice preclude themselves from sanctity. And they live a perpetual state of compromise, and they will never love God with their whole heart. And then there's the third category of people, those who love God and love Him more than their attachments, and wish to be attached to nothing else but God, and are willing to sacrifice, even painfully, anything of this earth in order not to lose God. These people have perfect charity of God. They want to prefer nothing to the love of God. And in doing this, they find true freedom and peace and joy and perfect love. Which category do we fall into is a good question to ask ourselves, especially on this feast day of Saint Ignatius. Hopefully not the first category, but are we in a second? Are we in the third? Do we go back and forth? It's a good question to ask ourselves. Where do we depart from? Because that helps to give us a direction and helps us to form a resolution so as to arrive at our destination. And so as to form a desire to arrive at the destination, which is what? The only intelligent thing to do in life really is to desire to love God above all things, because in the end, God is all that remains, and His glory is all that remains, and His love is all that remains. It's a helpful thought that hopefully St. Ignatius will help us to formulate and to keep in our minds always, so as to live our lives right, so as to live them for His greater and even for His greatest glory. Praised be Jesus and Mary.